Welcome to the Industry Angel Podcast. We hear from the best business minds across the globe, entrepreneurs, social influencers, marketing mavens, and sales rock stars. We've got them all. Here comes your weekly dose of inspiration with your host, Ian Farah.
Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us once again live across Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, LinkedIn. So let us know if you're there. Click share it out. Let's feel the love for David Birchall. How do I even introduce you? You just like you know what you said before I started here. You said that you went to university, and in your studies you were doing engineering and that kind of stuff, and you didn't know that you'd be here or if this job was actually a thing.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty much the case. When I was at university, I actually thought I was going to go down a particular path, maybe become a teacher or a lecturer or something like that in the topic that I was studying at university. But I had no idea that it would venture off into this kind of field. It's fascinating. When you say this field, we've just watched the video. Yeah. What was that?
You can't remember that video? It's been a while since you've seen it.
It's been a while since we've seen that. It's very difficult to explain, actually. Lots of people say, well, what do we do? What does a company do?
Yeah.
What do we do for them? So the company's DB Show Control and Automation, not a particularly explanatory name, I guess, but we provide solutions with technology really for the entertainment industry. So it's mainly for theme parks, for shows, live shows, fixed installation shows, for museums and visitor centres, that kind of thing.
Around the world,
yeah. So based in South Shields, but systems around the world.
Based downstairs in 1 Trinity Green.
Yeah.
You've got a unit, haven't you?
Yeah, so we've got two. Actually, we've got 2 units now. So we've been in 1 Trinity Green, I think, since 2014, and we've got 1 unit downstairs. We've now expanded out into the next unit because we're involved in design of systems, but also in the build of systems, and we just needed physically more space, so we've doubled the size of the manufacturing.
Did you have an office first and then unit?
No, we went straight into the unit. One of the first big projects we did was a really big system build. So we needed office space and we needed a manufacturing unit. So we did it all from that 1 unit. And now kind of half of that unit is taken up with office space, but also with testing space. So we have a whole array of technology in there that we can test and develop systems with. And now the unit next door is really there just for manufacturing.
I'm going to come back to that, but do you want to let us know, you kind of said that you do these large-scale installations. An example of one, maybe?
Yeah, so as I say, we kind of create solutions with technology for entertainment industry. So if it's theme parks, museums, live events and shows, what we're doing is we're creating the control technology that makes that happen. So if it's a theme park ride, it's the control and automation technology, software, hardware that makes that ride work. If it's a show, it's the control technology that really makes the show work. So if there's light, there's laser, there's audio systems, there's water fountain effects, all of those kind of things. It's the systems that control those effects, synchronize them together, and bring it into a sort of fully functioning system.
I know some of the stuff you do is a little bit sort of top secret. Was there anything you could share that you've done?
Yeah, I mean, we've been in business as the company is now since 2012, and we've worked on a huge number of projects actually all around the world. A lot in China, some in Korea, Singapore, Orlando, and in France, and some in the UK as well. But yeah, we've worked on all sorts of stuff. So we've got Disneyland Paris is one of our really key customers. So we've done a lot of work over there where we've done show systems. We've worked in Universal in Beijing and in Orlando, and we work a lot with a company called ECA2, a very big production company doing large-scale fixed installation multimedia shows. We do the technology.
Everyone who's watching now, you just said like Disney, Universal. So everyone wants to know, on an evening when it's shut down, can you play on the roller coasters on your own?
Well, to be honest, you spend a lot of time going around and around and around, because we're if you imagine like a Universal ride or a Disney ride, they tend to be very heavy, audiovisual intensive rides with a lot of projection, a lot of audio, a lot of special effects. So part of the work we do is doing the software or the hardware or control systems that make that work, but then also commissioning the ride with some very creative teams who are working for Universal or working for other consulting companies. And that means we need to be on the rides.
Look at that face.
So you can spend a lot of time going around testing and over and over and over. Again.
So when you have like a big roller coaster, obviously engineer, crazy engineering for it, from a safety point of view and everything. Do you do your bit afterwards then? They don't think about anything that you're going to do whilst the engineering and designing it.
Yeah, on a roller coaster type ride. We are part of a really big project team.
Right.
So you have a huge creative team that coming up with the designs and the concepts for it. On a ride like that, on a roller coaster type ride, you have the ride manufacturer who's specifically focused on the ride itself, the safety of the ride. And then we tend to work with the AV, with the lighting and the special effects. And so we're kind of part of that. But because we're the control system that makes everything synchronized together, we tend to have to interface with everybody. So that's interfacing with the ride system itself, interfacing with all the different aspects. Even if it's not part of our kind of scope, we tend to have to interface with it, get information from it, and use that to synchronize our elements with the ride.
But my point was is that afterwards, so the ride's done, and then you guys kind of work with them to create something.
Yeah,
so as you say, you go on it and think, oh right, okay, this might work. It's
a bit of the ride tends to be physically built and put into place, and then we'll do our bit on top of that. But quite often the ride is still in process and being tested as part of that.
Excellent.
I mean, that's the interesting thing. We're applying real engineering technologies, the same control and automation technologies that are used in factory automation, really.
Yeah.
With some custom software and some special things that we've developed, but we're using it in a really creative way. So you're working with a really large team, like I said, a really creative team, and it's really fun to be part of.
It is, yeah. I want to kind of wind it back a bit. You kind of dove straight into what you've accomplished now, but what was this first bit like? Where did this kick off? Actually, pardon the punks, I know where it kicked off.
Yeah.
We chatted about this. Go on, tell that story.
Yes. That was very good.
Yeah, thanks very much.
So when I left university, I studied at Loughborough University and I studied industrial design and technology. So it was a kind of a degree that was a cross between design, a kind of creative design, and then a real engineering degree as well. So we studied a bit of both. And whilst I was there, actually, Kevin Keegan, who was at the time, I think, still Newcastle manager, brought a project to Loughborough University. I think primarily actually because he knew the university was a great engineering university, but also it was a huge sports-based university. So he brought a project there for something he was working on, which was developing an interactive football-based kind of themed attraction. And he wanted to bring somebody from the university to try to come up with a way to engineer and come up with a technological solution for his concept, his creative concept. So I worked on that for a short while at the university, and then myself and Clive, who was actually my lecturer at university, we left the university and went and set up working with Kevin.
You stole Clive?
He stole Clive.
Wow. You were popular then.
So we then ended up working up in the northeast, which is where Kevin Keegan was living.
Cool.
And we worked on that and various other projects with Kevin for about 8 years, something like that.
Yeah, wow.
We built a system up in Glasgow, and then one out in Dubai, and a much smaller one in the Lake District. So we developed that, and really as part of doing that, we were developing new things, coming up with new systems and new bits of software that a lot of people weren't really using that much. So we were kind of coming up with interesting ways of doing show control and automation systems specifically for that project.
Isn't it interesting when you kind of get paid to test and do R&D and learn and
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, it was a real R&D project. There were lots of other interactive visitor centres and lots of things like that, but some of the stuff we were trying to do was quite interesting. Some of it was quite cutting edge with the video capture stuff that we were doing. So it was really interesting. And obviously there were lots of other people working in theme parks doing that kind of work, and we were then overlapping a lot with with that kind of industry and taking in some of the technology that was being used in Universal and Disney and integrating that into what we do. And then it was after that after we finished those 3 big projects, I decided that what I wanted to do was the same thing, because it was fascinating. It was an interesting way of working. But I could see that there was a big opportunity to then work in the same industry, but on different projects elsewhere.
And is that when you went off on your own? You're a sole trader, weren't you?
Yeah, so I set up as a sole trader originally. It was just myself. I did that for quite a long time, actually.
Right, okay. As a consultant kind of thing? Or?
Yeah, so we did pretty much as we do now, actually. We do design consulting. So bringing the expertise that we've got for different projects to assist in the design process of the new show and installation and things like that. And so there's that. Then there's programming of the systems and writing custom software that we do. And then, so that was where I started as a sole trader. And then we were being asked much more to build systems, so build custom systems, build custom electronic systems. And that's when it was clear that we needed to expand more. We needed premises, we needed more people. And that's
You're saying we there, the royal we?
Yes, the royal we. So we got 6 people now.
Oh, right, okay. And when was that point where were you using sort of, sort of like outsourcing bits and pieces and associates, and then you? Yeah,
exactly. So at the time when I was a sole trader, we needed more people. And really, I had a big group of friends primarily that we'd worked on different projects with around the world. And under the kind of umbrella of DB show control and automation, we started to come together as a group that then worked on all of these projects, but under kind of one umbrella. And that's when it developed from being a sole trader to being we as a group.
So did they come on board as employees of the company, or?
Some people have. 2 guys came in full time. Everybody else we still work with day to day, but they all work in their own field. It's an industry where you have a lot of kind of freelance expertise.
Yes, of course.
We've got a guy who does a lot of audio work for us, but he's a rock and roll guy, so he goes off on tour and does big concerts and so on. We've got another guy, Rob, who's a real expert and specialist in video systems, but he's his own entity that works with us a lot on projects. And that's quite nice because you can bring in the real expertise and use the experience of these people as and when you need it. So we're never kind of going out trying to work on a project without the real knowledge. We've got a huge knowledge base to sort of draw on.
It's really interesting, like you say, drawing on that knowledge, because the guy who's the rock and roll guy will probably bring in ideas that he's seen from the things that he does. So if he was purely working with you, you wouldn't see some of the stuff that he's been exposed to. So does he kind of say, "Oh, Therese, I've done something like this, it might really work well for you"?
It definitely works like that a lot. It's the same thing. We've worked on this vast number of projects as a company, but as a company where we have 6 employees, but as a group of people, it's even the projects we've worked on are even more vast, really. It's huge. I think the other thing that's interesting as well, talking about Rich, is that the guy who loves the rock and roll side of things. It's the projects that we do are far-flung and they're all around the world. So you really have to live this as a lifestyle. It's not a job. You can't just kind of go and do the work 9 to 5 in an office in South Shields. It's not about that. It's a lifestyle. So everybody throws themselves completely into a project, travels around the world. You can go off on a project where you're somewhere in Korea on the other side of the world for 6 or 7 weeks with this same team of people, and it's like a family. It's like a group.
You're all rock and roll stars, aren't you, really? You live in the dream, right?
But we tend to stay on the other side of the camera most of the time.
So, like going back to when you first started the business and you did the Kevin Keegan thing, and that sort of took you other avenues. Did you ever get to the point where you maybe won a bit of work, or someone reached out to you and you thought, wow, I'm taking on a bit of a big project here, it's a bit scary, can I actually do that? Was there any imposter syndrome in the early days that kind of...
Yeah, there was a bit, but we were very confident in what we do. So when we got some big projects, and it went from kind of a number of largest projects to one or two really big ones. Some, and then there were lots of issues, financing issues and so on. From a technology point of view, we have the confidence in what we do to make it happen. And quite often, really, in this industry, somebody will say to you, well, this is the creative concept. What I want to do is this. And they'll describe it in a quite a high level way. And then they're kind of asking you, so can you engineer that? How can you make it work? And more often than not, you just say, yes, we can do it. And of course, at the time, you might not know how to do it. But that's the challenge. You've got to find the way to make it happen.
It's interesting when you've got a specialism like you, and then you have a business as well, that you almost have to learn the business side as well, the commercial side of it, as you say, the finances, the payment terms, and that sort of stuff. How do you do that with obviously your engineering expertise, and then I've got to have a business head as well?
We talk about this a lot actually, because for me, the business is about doing the work. It's about doing great projects and about doing all of that kind of engineering work. That's what I enjoy most. For me, that's the perfect way to be. The business side is the bit that you're exactly right. I kind of learned along the way. But we're a small business, so you end up doing everything. So I just learned it really. I wouldn't say clearly I didn't go to business school or learn anything like that. You just learned it by doing it on the job. And we do everything. I was emptying the bins this morning and doing invoicing and doing proposals to people at the same time. We're sat as a team around a bunch of computers trying to program some systems, test some new technology. So it's a real mix.
This isn't it. I guess business is about surrounding yourself with good people. So have you identified gaps in the business where you thought I need to bring someone in to do that bit, or?
Yeah, for sure. We need to have, like I said, we have a group of people who are real experts in the field that are essentially outside the business that we bring in underneath them. But what's really clear is we need to have people in-house all the time, who are also testing new things, testing new features, and writing new bits of software, and really doing a bit of R&D. Because it's only through doing that we sort of stay out of the game. From a business perspective, we've managed to keep it fairly small. We don't have a huge team of people just operating in the business. We've managed to do it ourselves between doing the engineering work and operating the business. Along with accounting teams and stuff.
It's interesting. You talked about R&D there, and if I was, I don't know, if I had a place out in Dubai, for instance, and I wanted to have water fountains and stuff. Now, of course, I don't know what I don't know. So, but I come to you and just say, David, I just want like some fountain with some green stuff happening. Right, okay, let me think about the art of the possible then. So, is that kind of what you do?
Yeah, quite often it is. I mean, we do quite specific things in the work that we do. So, and we tend to be part of a bigger team. So, we work on shows where there are huge water fountains, flame effects, pyrotechnics, and so on. But for the pyrotechnics, there's a specialist company who's dealing only with pyrotechnics. And we look at how to control that, how to monitor their systems from our system and so on. For the water fountain systems, there's another company specialising in creating the pumps and controls of that. And we work as part of that team. So we're controlling all of the equipment, we're monitoring all of the equipment, but we don't necessarily build all the equipment. It's all supplied as part of a bigger project team. But the good thing is when people ask us things like that, we can pull it together. The right people to make it happen.
So in that example I gave there, which was very basic green stuff, if someone is quite basic and doesn't know, then that's your expertise. Is that type what would look really cool there? Do you ever flip the other way where someone says, you want this, and then you're like, wow, that's extreme. And then you've got to think, is that possible? I don't know. And
it does happen. And like I say, more often than not, we just say yes. We'll find a way to make it happen.
Cool.
But that definitely.
and do you find sometimes where you go to some countries that are very affluent, there's lots of money sloshing around, do you think, wow, they're really spending an obscene amount of money on something here? Is that?
Yeah, sometimes. Like I say, we've worked with really big companies, with smaller companies, but all around all in different places. And some place, we're in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, there's clearly a lot of money that's being spent over there. But generally speaking, it's spent well to get the right people in.
Yeah.
Quite often we're asked to come in as part of the design process in the first place.
Okay.
So we kind of help with the whole design process. So it's usually that you're involved in that whole design process before they get to the point of spending the money. So you can advise them on where they should be looking and what they should be doing.
Mm. What's your favourite thing about them?
I think this would probably without wanting to upset other people, it would probably be the really big water shows,
right,
and the big multimedia shows that we do primarily with ETA in France. Yeah, because that really is like an extended family.
Yeah, right, okay.
So that's the real fun thing. They are really like a mission. So from an initial design, creative design, which is part of their scope, we come up with some technological solution. We discuss it, we design it, we build it downstairs, we ship it to the other side of the world, and then maybe we go to China, and then we go to Korea or Singapore. We go and reinstall it, we then commission it, and we have a team of people that are working out there. Really, so it's going from the initial concept of how we do the technology right the way through to sitting in a stand with thousands of people watching the show. Yeah. For me, that's the most fun part of it. I would say the second thing is the theme park work, which is really the other big part of our business. We love doing the theme park work, love doing the rides, and working in parks like Universal and Disney is fantastic. They really are the top of the game, top of the industry. Yeah. So to be able to be involved in that is great.
And obviously, when it goes off for the first time, is there a party and stuff like that?
Yeah, there's normally a party at the end. Lots of people often ask when you're doing shows and things like that, are you nervous on the opening event? But I mean, really you're not, because it's been part of a design process that's been going on for years and years and years, and it's then been rehearsed for months. So if something goes wrong on the first night, particularly because you've run the same show over and over and over again for months before that.
And obviously, if it's in a theme park, and the theme park might run out of 9 till 9, do you tend to work during hours?
Yeah, whenever it needs to be. So a lot of the shows are nighttime based shows, so you need to work during the night because it's with projection onto water. It's really light and it's really later, so it needs to be dark. The theme park stuff it depends. If it's a new theme park, you can be working during the day, but they tend to be. Those kind of builds that tend to be 24-hour operations where, as you said before, you have like the ride company working, building the ride, and they'll be in there for a fixed period of time. Then it gets handed over to another team who are working on their sort of installation work, and then handed over to a team who are working on the AV and the show systems like this. Yeah. So it's like a 24-hour cycle. So you just have to adapt and work as and when.
You know, some of these really wild rides, are they almost done in reverse, or might they sort of say, what can we do from an AV and experience point of view, and then put the shoehorn the ride into that? Or
I think it's a mix of both. So certainly, sometimes it's a creative concept, but there's only so far you can get it. There's no way to make it happen.
Right. Okay.
But at the same time, we might say, well, this is a particular technology or a way of making a really stunning, immersive ride. So how do we apply that to the IP of the ride?
Sure. So what's on trend right now then?
Well, that's a very good question. I don't know. In theme parks, there's a real push to use LED technology actually now in some of the rides. I don't know if you visited some of the big parks, like say Universal, Disney and so on. A lot of them are very immersive AV rides with a lot of projection systems in there. And there's a big move to use LED systems instead of projection systems in places. So that's certainly the technology that's and it's been around all the time. The application of it.
What about the UK? How's the UK doing with things like this?
We've done quite a few projects in the UK. Most of our work is outside for sure. We're building systems, we're exporting them, we're sending expertise to different parts of the world. Yeah. But we have done quite a bit in the UK. We've just opened in parts of a team that's opened a visitor centre for a really large whiskey brand.
Is that you hiding the whiskey brand there?
Yeah.
I'm not going to say it for you.
But that's a fabulous attraction. We worked with a company called BRC from the US, who are a really big production company. and it's a really great project. It's a whiskey brand visitor centre that's up in Edinburgh on Princes Street. That's open in quite a historic building.
Right.
And we did the show control systems for that, and the software that runs it.
Yeah.
And it's really quite interesting. It's kind of a cross between a museum and an interactive show and some whiskey tasting as well.
Why would that particular company want that?
I think it's really promoting their brand,
Right.
primarily. It's not really there as a means of selling.
Yeah,
It's a brand promotion exercise.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And the place itself it's in such an incredible place in Edinburgh, which is a very heavy tourist spot.
Yeah.
It's a really great way.
I think I'm going up next week. Any chance of a ticket?
Yeah, you should go. You should definitely
Can you
go.
not get us a little?
Well, we'll see.
Okay, good man.
It's on record, man.
If there's any questions for David, anybody wants to chat with him, be sure to throw them in there. I'll pop up on screen. Well, that's really good that the UK is doing stuff. And I guess for you guys, it's a bit easier rather than travelling around.
Yeah.
Is it travelling a pain, or do you enjoy it? Or I mean, obviously you're immersed in like
Yes,
sometimes.
it's not a pain. In fact, it's like I say, it's part of your life. It's part of your lifestyle. So obviously, COVID had an impact on travelling. There's no doubt about it. And we were lucky in that sense that we had lots of projects online. We designed projects which were all UK based. We had the project in Edinburgh and then a couple of other ones actually, similar projects in Scotland.
Yeah.
But that bit can be, the COVID bit made it a bit of a challenge. But normally we were travelling all the time. So Newcastle Airport was like my second home.
Yeah.
Flying in out of the country all the time. I think you just get used to it.
Sure.
There's no stress. I used to travel off to China or to Abu Dhabi. In fact, Abu Dhabi, we've done so much work and we used to be travelling there regularly on the endless flight out.
Yeah.
And you get up in the morning without a backpack and just casually throw everything in, get picked up in a car, taken to the airport,
Right.
and off you go. It's really straightforward.
Or up a duck's back.
Yeah, we just got used to it. So there's no hassle at all.
Yeah.
It's quite fun actually. It's quite a fun job traveling different parts of the world.
So let's touch on COVID. What was the impact there? Did you kind of learn new ways to interact with your team remotely, or?
Yeah, we were working on quite a few projects. A number of them got delayed because of COVID, but the physical work on site and the build got delayed.
Yeah.
But every project we've done is still ongoing, or it's completed, but nothing ever got cancelled. What we did find though, which we were doing anyway to a certain extent on different projects, we found remote working did work for us.
Okay.
As in, we could be here in the UK in the office or at home, and we could set up systems so we could remote into control systems in Beijing and have a team of people working remotely from the UK. Okay, at unusual hours, but connected into systems there where we would have a camera set up in the workshops over in Beijing.
Okay.
We'd have a guy over there who knew the systems, and we'd be remoted in on computers, testing software and testing systems.
Yeah.
So that kind of thing worked. I would say it's not a perfect solution.
Okay.
It's much easier if you're there.
Yeah.
You can see the people, you can be face to face with the people, you can touch the equipment, but we made it work.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been doing that anyway for remote support for the systems. It just suddenly went from being a small thing like that.
And is it still there? If you decided that, from an economy point of view, just thought actually we'll keep maybe 40% of that now, or?
Sometimes the client is asking us for that because potentially it's cheaper for them rather than shipping us around the world. But more often than not, we end up going out to do the work because you get a lot of the stuff you have to be there and see it. We did a project in New York just before Christmas, which was a visitor centre in New York, which was, you could kind of go around with some immersive shows in it and a kind of museum aspect, and then there's a ride where you do kind of flying through New York City.
Right.
So that was a really interesting project to be involved in, but we did a lot of that remotely. But at some point, we reached the point where we said, we have to go there now. We have to actually be there because you need to see what's on the projection screen real time live in front of you to know that it's doing what you'd expect.
And of course, you had maybe flew through New York, just to see what it was like physically.
Actually, it was unluckily for me. I didn't go there. I went out there. We've done some other projects in New York. That's a great place to go and stay. Actually.
Yeah, excellent.
There are some perks like that.
Yeah. And here in South Shields, and it's funny to be chatting earlier on. We don't really see many people in the building sometimes because we're all so busy. So to and fro. And so in terms of collaborations and stuff like that, do you do much in South Tyneside, or is it really your expertise is just everywhere?
Yeah, it's going all over the place. I mean, we're using, when we're building systems, it's using local suppliers of equipment, for sure. And we're using lots of local teams to help deliver stuff. But we are kind of unusual in the sense we've got this place in One Trinity Green. Nobody really knows. We don't really go out much and kind of promote ourselves and advertise what we do, because one project leads to another project, and that's how we've expanded and grown. But yeah, this building's huge. I mean, there's all sorts of businesses in here, some of which we didn't know they existed. Actually. Yeah. So I think one thing we need to do is spend some more time in the building. We've been in since 2014, just to find some real businesses. Right.
It's interesting you say you go from one project to the next. So that means your team is busy all the time. Is there a requirement to grow a bit? Because if there is, you'll need more people, or are you quite happy to maintain? What's the plan?
Yeah, we're always looking to grow and expand. Yeah. It's difficult to find the right people sometimes. That's one of the challenges we've got. Not just from a skills point of view, but you need to find someone who really wants to work in this industry where you kind of throw your whole life at it. Like I say, it's quite an unusual way of being and way of living. Yeah. So we need to expand always, and we're always looking for new people to work. It's just trying to find the right people.
Yeah. No, you did right. We did a presentation event last night. Actually, we did a Pecha style. Right. So it's 20 slides in 20 seconds. Yeah. So we present the business in like 6 minutes forward. We did 10 really varied businesses. Next month you need to do that if you're here, because you'll have some great slides, I'd imagine, of some of the installations you've worked on. And Misha just asked there, actually, what's your favourite project that you've worked on?
That's a good question, actually. We probably the one that really stands out, actually, we worked on, and this was from a long time ago, it's from 2012, I think. We worked on a big water show in Korea for the World Expo that was there at the time. It's a project called Big O. You can see it on YouTube, actually. It's a really, really impressive installation with a huge kind of architectural structure with water fountains and flames and projection and so on. And I think that was probably one of my favourite projects. Aside from that, really we did a lot of work in Orlando on some of the rides. So we worked on the Escape from Gringotts Bank ride. Right. What was the new part of the Universal Park over there? And that was great. It's like you're working with a really impressive team of creatives on it.
Yeah. I thought you'd say more the newer ones, because I imagine that the tech and the capabilities change year on year.
Yeah, it does. And some of the stuff we're doing now downstairs is leagues on, actually, from the thing I just described at Big O. Yeah. I think that was more a personal thing. I enjoyed the project and the place and the people. Yeah. But yeah, the technology is changing all the time. Yeah. The other stuff I really enjoy, and I know the team enjoy working on, is the big theme parks. So we've been very lucky to have done not just, so in Universal Orlando, for example, we're working on one ride, but we've worked on lots of parks where we're doing control system in pretty much every ride in the park. So like Ferrari World Abu Dhabi, we've done all of the show control systems for the whole park. Right. There's 2 parks in Dubai, Bollywood Park and Motion Gate Park, where it's the same. And then we worked in Universal Beijing, we didn't do it all by any means, but we did something like 14 rides, I think. In so that's really good when you can not just do one small part, but do something bigger. Do a monitoring system that's maintaining and monitoring the whole park. That's fun.
How are you? It must be it's so difficult. I mean, it's obviously day rates and hours, but where do you start?
Yeah, it really depends on the project, because we go from design consulting work to programming and custom software for specific clients who are already doing systems and hardware. Yeah. To doing control system hardware, we supply that, to doing a full turnkey solution. Yeah. And so there's a sort of scale and there's a way of doing it. Generally, on a full turnkey solution, it's a price for doing a full turnkey solution.
It's a price. I bet it is.
It's kind of one price that covers everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll do everything from that through to kind of hourly rate, daily rates of our guys being on site.
Yeah.
It just depends on the job, really.
And you know what these grand jobs are like, and you know, it might be kind of scope creep, wouldn't be great if you just did that, or do you have to go with variations and go back and say, well, we can't do that, but it's going to be this much and this much?
Yeah, we do. It depends on the project as well, because generally speaking, if it's a big project where it's a kind of turnkey solution, we just want to make it work and we want to make it work well.
Yeah.
We're not really there to try and pinch every penny from the job. We want to deliver a great job and then we'll get another great job with the same client or another client, rather than kind of approaching it and going for a cheap solution and trying to pull in every possible penny on variation where you upset the client. It's kind of not the approach we go for. We try to go the other way.
Excellent.
But yeah, if the scope changes, either we'll highlight them, either just do it, or we'll highlight them and get a variation on it.
Yeah.
Or quite often we've been asked to do something quite small, and by the end of it, we've been asked to do other parts of the control system or other parts of the theme park that we originally weren't involved with.
Yeah.
So, luckily, because we're a small company, we can adapt easily and just make it happen.
Yeah. It's funny because you are a small company, you can see the passion in you then. You just said, like, sometimes, there is a creative, we'll just do it.
Yeah.
And, sometimes you have to kind of put that commercial hat on and not even go, actually, no, we should be charging for this, lad.
Yeah.
We should do it.
There is that sometimes, and you have to kind of find the right balance. Really.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's a small industry. You work with the same people on lots of projects, so we want to be the nice guys. We don't want to be too nice sometimes, but we want it to be a great solution.
And profitable, of course. Yeah. So what's next then?
All sorts at the moment. So we're building a big system at the moment that's going to ship out to the Far East, which is another multimedia watershed.
It's top secret, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can see you trying to choose your words wisely.
So that's a really big system. So we're building that at the moment, and that's going to ship just before the summer.
Yeah.
And then we should head out to that later in the year. There's quite a lot of new theme parks being built over in the US that we're involved with.
Right, okay.
Which is fun. And then some more of the projects I could describe with in Edinburgh are on the go as well at the moment.
Yeah.
And we're also, some of the projects we tend to be involved with can go on for months or even years. So there's some things where we've been involved in some design consulting work, and they're starting to come into production. So that starts to come around now as well.
So, what you do, your skill set, it's, there's not so many of you across the globe that can do it. Did people approach you and say, can you do that? And you just go, well, no, or yes, but it's going to be December. Did they wait for you?
Sometimes.
Okay.
But like I say, more often than not, we can find a way to make it happen. If someone needs to do something quickly, we can usually find a way to make it happen. Because we have our core team and then we have a kind of extended team of people that can work on things. But more often than not, they tend to be longer projects where you get involved early on.
Yes.
We do have issues sometimes where projects look like they're going to clash, timescale wise, but we've never had an issue yet. We've always managed to make it happen.
Yeah.
Projects never happen to a schedule that's planned.
Yeah.
So everybody's project never happens to a schedule that's planned, so they all tend to slot in.
Yeah. Sometimes my little go, that'll never happen.
But it always does happen, but it just happens at a different time. And generally speaking, I think you know what's really going to happen.
Yeah.
You can have an official schedule, and then you can manipulate your own schedule.
Yes. So have you got the best job in the world then?
I wouldn't do anything else.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do anything else. So I would say so.
Excellent.
People ask about when you retire, what would you do then? I don't know. I think I'd really like to continue doing this forever. Maybe we can step back from doing some things and just stay on the really exciting projects.
Yeah.
That would be a fun thing to do.
Do you know, I'm the exact same as you, but I love what I do and I've got no interest in stuff. Not maybe that might change, but I don't know. Yeah, I've got no way. You see people like an exit strategy and, kind of reverse engineer, like 65,
no, for me it's fun. So
exactly.
I enjoy it. And like I said, one of the big things actually is with the family. The nice thing about doing this is we've got 3 kids and I've got a very supportive wife. But you can kind of go off and do these projects. And like I say, we might go off and do something in the Far East for a period of 6 weeks at a time. But the good thing is you can then manage the rest of your time to have time with your family. So we spend a lot of time in the summer in Mallorca or in different locations, enjoying ourselves, and you can manage the life to fit. It's not all crazy work all the time.
Yeah, excellent.
And I think because of that, we've had a good lifestyle with our kids growing up.
Yeah,
we've spent more good time with the family than I think we would have done if we were working in a more structured 9 to 5.
Yes.
Even though we're trying to run a business at the same time.
Yeah. Excellent. That's really interesting. I think I'm saturated with questions. I'm bombarded, haven't I? And I know people who are watching this on catch up wishing that they'd asked you questions. So is there anything that I haven't asked you that you might want to share?
No, I don't think so.
No.
Covered a lot, really.
We have indeed, yeah. So I'd love you to do a presentation for us actually, because we had that little video earlier on, but I think you must have some great pictures.
Yeah, we've got some good stuff, and we've worked on some amazing projects.
Yeah.
To be honest, sometimes you forget what you've worked on. So you go back through and you review all of the projects you've worked on, and there's a lot. So.
How many do you think you've done?
I have no idea. If you talk about individual systems, as I say, in the UAE alone, we've got Warner Brothers theme park, Ferrari World Abu Dhabi, and 2 Dubai park theme parks where we have control systems on every ride really in those parks.
Yeah.
So there's got to be over 100 systems just over there. And then all of the other show systems. I mean, it must be 200 or 300 individual systems since we sort of been broadcasted.
And when you hand them over, I said I would ask any more questions, I'm still asking questions. When you hand them over, is there a maintenance team that can then maintain it going forward? Yeah,
generally our objective is to design it well, engineer it well, and do a good job of handing it over and training the maintenance teams that run. Some projects we were asked to have some kind of maintenance contract with the end client, which we've done, but more often than not, it's better to develop a system that can be handed over to the client and they can run with. That's our objective really is as a business is to make a great project, complete it, be sure that everybody's happy with it, hand it over, and then let them run with it, rather than trying to maintain a finger in every pie.
No. It's messy, isn't it? Get in, get out.
But we are involved, and then generally speaking, if the client has some needs or they want to change something or add something new, they come back to us and ask us to do that. As a separate piece of work.
Cool. Excellent. Good. So, well, thanks for your time. It's been good to actually finally have a chat after all these years that have been in the building. We haven't known about each other, so maybe we'll do it again when you've got other news that you can share because you've got top secret stuff going on. Yeah, excellent.
Some good stuff.
Brilliant. Thanks for your time. Thanks everyone for watching. I'm not sure what our next one is, but if you want a particular topic, or if you've got any questions, or you've got any people that you'd like to see interviewed, please reach out. Do me a favor. Click like or love on this and share it out so we can reach more people within South Tyneside and maybe further afield. Let people know that we're here because as we just said there, sometimes we're a bit insular and we're not.
Yeah. It's lots of people say I never knew your business was here based in South Shields, and it's unusual.
It is. Okay, so thanks very much for watching and we'll see you next time.